How's it going, guys? Doe here, and in my last video I showed y'all what the Hunger exotic could do in Dauntless, but now it's time to discuss what the GodHand, which is the exotic warpike, can do as well. So GodHand is one of the 3 Dauntless weapon exotics you can currently get in the game, and this is a stabby pokey laser shooting stick, pretty much. That's what it is. This is a warpike exotic, and the redeeming factor or redeeming quality of this warpike is the fact that it has a beam instead of a missile. So for most warpikes, it's going to have a missile, but the GodHand it channels a beam that deals increasing damage up to 200% while it continues to hit a target. And to anyone that's played the GodHand before but not recently, just know that it did get a change, and I'm pretty sure one of the changes was the fact that before, if you hit a part on a behemoth, that was the only way to increase the channel damage. Now, all you have to do is hit the behemoth, and that will actually increase your damage and ramp it up to 200%. And I tell you what, the damage can get pretty insane, especially if you have good cells in your build and you have like good synergy. The damage can ramp up just an astronomically high amount. And I'm gonna go ahead and explain the build, which after the build I'll be explaining how to play the builds and the downsides to the GodHand, because the GodHand can do a lot of damage. It just takes a little bit of preparation to actually get to reaching that damage. Anyway, for the build I enjoy the most on the GodHand, it's going to consist of the GodHand with the lightweight shaft, which is a mod that makes it so your pike charge no longer costs stamina, and it's also a guaranteed critical strike if you land it on a behemoth. And that will help you wound parts much faster than if you didn't have it before. And for my gear, I'll have the Hellion helmet, the, what is this, Cool Shot chest, Nasher gloves, and the Koshai feet. I want to say that for the gear, just notice there is no Reza pieces. The GodHand, you're going to have to farm a lot, so good luck on that. But for the gear pieces, there is no Reza pieces, no shroud stuff. So you don't have to be at the end game to farm those, because some players that are even at the end game haven't been able to farm the gear that well. And I did this on purpose because I heard a lot of comments going, hey, what can I swap out the Lights Crown, which is the Reza helmet, for if I don't have it? So to fix all that, I tried to make this build so it wouldn't have any Reza gear or shroud pieces. So that's the gear. Now my lantern will be the Drask's Eye because of the instant cast for extra damage, and the Hold the Cast, which is a lightning bolt that you can cast from very far away and be very accurate with. And with all this gear, I'm able to get 5 + 6 perks, which will be +6 Aetheric Attunement, Overpower, Predator, Rage Hunter, and Savagery. And I have a +3 acidic because you can only have up to 5 + 6 perks with the exotic because they do not have stats. So that is my perks. And I want to explain how acidic works for anyone that doesn't know. Acidic will cut your part damage in half, and it'll convert it to wound damage instead. And that makes it so you wound faster with weapons in general. And on top of that, you won't break the parts as fast because you get your part damage cut in half. And that will make Savagery all the more better, because when you wound a part, it will stay wounded longer. You won't break it instantly after you wound it because you're doing a ton of damage. Instead, you can do a ton of, an absolute truckload of damage, and it'll stay for a longer duration. So Savagery and Acidic work really well together. And also, I want to say real quick, if you have Acidic, never go past +3. It's just not beneficial. You only want to have +3, nothing more. Having +6 Acidic is not the play. Just trust me on that, okay? Alright, that's the build, but now I'm going to go ahead and discuss how to actually play the GodHand and use the build effectively. And like I said earlier, the GodHand requires preparation on the fights to make it effective. If you're playing solo, it's a bit more difficult. If you're playing in a group, GodHand can shine pretty brightly. But we're going to go ahead and discuss how to play in a group with the GodHand, which would be much easier than playing solo. So normally, playing solo is the way to go if you want to have a very consistent hunt most of the time. But with the GodHand, that's not the case, and there's a couple reasons why. The first reason why is because it'll only focus you during a hunt. Behemoths will only focus you since you're the only person to focus in a solo hunt. And that makes it so wounding other parts is not going to be easy whatsoever. Wounding the face will be very easy, but wounding other parts on most behemoths will not be so simple. And on top of that, if you're in a group, your teammates can stagger behemoths while you focus on creating wounds. Because if you're creating wounds with the warpike, your left click does no stagger damage. And stagger damage leads to a stagger, which is basically knocking a behemoth unconscious, and that can give you an opportunity to use your beam on your GodHand and get a ton of damage in using Overpower. And also, it can give you a good chance to make more wounds more effectively, because you have a really good chance to hit it while it's down. And real quick, guys, I am using a modified version of this build, and all I changed was the acidic and pred cells, well, one of them, out for a cunning cell each. So I can have +6 cunning and get some pretty big crits, just to see them. It's not that it's a better build, because it's actually a lot better to have acidic, because you'll spend less time wounding and more time actually doing damage with your GodHand. But hey, those meaty crits were worth it. And for using this kind of build and you're not using acidic, you're going to have to make a lot of wounds to actually have a decent amount of uptime. And that's going to be where using your lightweight shaft will come into play, which I will say again, I didn't have a lightweight shaft in this video. I was under the impression that using ammunition amplifier would be better, but in all honesty, it's not. And the reason why ammunition amplifier is not as good as the other mods is because you only have one missile to store. If it somehow gave you an extra missile to store with the GodHand, then it'd be much better that way. But instead, you only have one missile, and waiting for ammunition amplifier to actually build up your missile, it takes a little bit of time. It takes more time to do that in most cases than it does just to actually build the missile on your own and then store it and be on your merry way. So that is how you play GodHand in a group for the most part. Now it's time to move on to playing it solo, which I can actually give you a much better rundown because, like I said earlier, solo is much more consistent. And speaking of consistency, I played this build against Heroic Fiber and Charg the most, just because I really like fighting that behemoth with Warpike. I just do. It's nice to be like, oh hey, I can actually make wounds on this guy. And that's like the whole point, because Heroic Fiber and Charg has a mechanic called Tough Hide, which makes it so unless the parts are broken or wounded, they take less damage. Once they are wounded, they take even more damage. So it's nice to see those big numbers once you get a wound going. Anyway, playing this build solo on Charg, you're going to have to actually make wounds yourself, and I'm pretty sure you only really need to make 3 wounds, and in doing so, you want to also be doing some stagger damage to mix it up, because the goal with this build on Charg is to create wounds, and to do that, you want to use your lightweight shaft attack, which is basically, wait, that sounds so bad. You want to use your charge attack with the Warpike, using a lightweight shaft mod to get that instant crit to make wounds faster. You get 1,000 wound damage, and you'll be making wounds super fast that way. So try and use this charge as much as you possibly can, because there isn't really a downside to it, aside from the fact that you will get second animation because you can't really dodge out of it currently. You used to be able to. Right now I think it's a bug where the charge pattern is kind of scuffed. So I suggest using your pike charge as an opener, also using it after you roll to get that guaranteed crit to make wounds faster. And the goal is to create 3 wounds. And on Charg, I made a wound on the leg, the head sack, I think is what it's called, and the head. And during that process, I stored a missile at full charge, and then I began charging my meter to full as well. And after having all that said and done, I began right-clicking to stagger Charg. And once I staggered it, I just went to town with the laser. Just absolutely clapped this man. And to be clear, you want to be hitting the wounded parts with the laser beam. I didn't say that earlier, I'm not sure why I didn't, but just make sure you hit the wounded parts with the laser beam to make use of your savagery and to just do a lot of damage. And with that, this video is pretty much done. But I am curious, what do you guys think of the current exotics? Do you want them to be stronger? Do you mind? Because personally, I like the way they are right now, because they're not called legendaries, they're not artifacts, they are exotics, which to me basically just means, hey, it's different. Now what I would like to see is, I would like to see exotics have 2 mods, because you can't change the special currently, so to fix that, I would like to be able to change the fact that I only have 1 mod and have 2 instead. So for the Warpike, I could have lightweight shaft and ammunitions amplifier, and hopefully have another missile as well. Like, that's just me, but y'all, thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, leave a like, and if you like this content, maybe consider smashing that subscribe button, because it would help me out a lot. Also, I stream on Twitch. It's just OhDough, it's my name. I'm a Dauntless partner, and I've been streaming this game for almost a year, actually more than a year, and I've been doing it consistently the whole time. So I know a lot about the game, and I'm passionate about learning more as the game progresses. And finally, I do have an Epic Games support creator code. It's just OhDough, it's my name. And if you want to use it in the Epic Games store, or when you're buying Plat and Dauntless, or anything of that nature, I would greatly appreciate it, and it would mean a lot to me. But if you don't use my code, be sure to use someone's code. I keep saying that, but use someone's code, whether it's RevyRad, Akeda, Zany Phantom, whoever you want. Personally, I would suggest going with a Dauntless content creator because they make content for the game, and that would support them in making content for y'all to maybe enjoy or learn about the game. That's just me though. But guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.